Almost $200 billion has been wiped off the value of Facebook's parent company after it reported a drop in user numbers for the first time. The social media giant is facing increasing competition from the likes of TikTok. Well, our business editor, Stephen Carroll, is here with more. Stephen, what happened to spook investors?
It was a small change in a very important number that sent that ripple through the markets. For the first time in its 18-year history, the number of people logging into Facebook on a daily basis actually fell. The change between September and December of last year wasn't that large in the overall context, only around 500,000 lower from between September and December. We're still talking about almost 2 billion people logging into Facebook every day. But it's raising questions over the social media giant's future growth, whether it's stalled, whether perhaps it might be heading into a decline. Now, Facebook's parent company, Meta, also owns Instagram, WhatsApp and Messenger. Across all of those apps, there was a slight increase in the number of people using them daily over that period. But nonetheless, investors very unhappy with these results. Shares in Meta down by almost 20%, over 20% in after-hours trading in New York. If that slump is confirmed when Wall Street opens later, it wipes $200 billion almost off the value of the company for Mark Zuckerberg himself, Facebook CEO and founder. That's about $24 billion off his personal wealth.
And Stephen, why has the reaction been so dramatic?
Look, Facebook is the biggest social media platform in the world, so there's a lot of attention on how much it's able to grow, given that it's had this huge record of expansion over its history. If you compare it to the likes of Twitter or Snapchat, Facebook's daily numbers are still much, much higher. It's still clearly the biggest player in this space. We're talking around 2 billion people for Facebook versus around 200 million for Twitter and around 300 million for Snapchat. But the rival that Mark Zuckerberg and his team are really keeping an eye on is TikTok. The Chinese-owned app announced last year that it had reached 1 billion monthly active users. They don't give daily figures, so the monthly comparable figure for Facebook is almost 3 billion. So clearly Facebook's still very much dominating in that space. But Instagram is a much closer rival to TikTok because of the short videos that can be used on both platforms. Meta doesn't officially report figures for TikTok. There were reports at the end of last year they were around 2 billion monthly active users. But it's the growth of TikTok that's worrying Facebook, and particularly the demographic of people who are using it. It has a much younger audience, and that's something that Facebook or Meta really wants to make sure that they're keeping a hold of as well. In a call with investors after these results were published, Mark Zuckerberg mentioned TikTok 5 times. He said that people have a lot of choices about how they want to spend their time, and apps like TikTok are growing very quickly. That's why their focus on Reels, which are the short videos on Instagram, is so important over the long term. This is the first time in Facebook's history that it's had such a large and fast-growing rival to one of its products, so it's a really new challenge for them.
And Meta has some other big concerns for its business as well.
One of them is changes that Apple made in the middle of last year about how much user data is shared with app developers. This has been a big issue for companies like Meta that rely on advertising revenue and being able to target ads specifically at users. This change means they get less information from iPhone users that they're able to then target them with ads. Meta's chief financial officer saying that this change will cost them around $10 billion in 2022. The social media company more broadly is also facing a lot of negative publicity after Frances Haugen, the whistleblower, published those confidential documents from the company about how it operates and its negative impact on society. That's, of course, led to a lot of increased pressure on the company and on social media in general from lawmakers looking to better regulate social media. Meta, I should say, is facing inquiries in the Federal Trade Commission, among others. So there's a lot of that sort of attention also being focused on the company at the same time.
Sounds like they have quite a bit of challenges to confront in the coming months. Stephen Carroll, thank you for that business update.